Please, always, Saturday is completely informal. We have had through the week, every day, formal talks in the morning and in the evening. We will keep to the formal talk in the morning, but Saturday, always let us just relax. Especially for some newcomers. Many of us will be leaving because of the hurricane coming to visit the eastern coast. So many people afraid of not getting home. So hurricane is coming, what will you do? How, how much meditation have you learned? A good test for you. So, if there is no any concrete question, there is one question in front of me, but that's all. Then I will tell you some nice stories. There was a question last night which we did not answer. Somebody wanted that those meditators who are doing well, they share their experiences. Normally, it is a rule that the monks and nuns don't like to talk about personal experiences. Those who have studied Vinaya know that if a monk tells not correctly, it can cause terrible complications. Disciplinary measures. And suppose a monk or a nun lies about his achievements in meditation for the sake of obtaining some supplies or admiration, then it is one of the most serious offenses. He is not allowed to be monk or nun anymore. That is why the monks and nuns are very shy about talking about the attainment of in jhanas or in vipassana or supernatural powers. But this rule does not apply to laymen. So those who want to share their experience, how they did it, that they could develop a stable image, how they made effort, how they realized what they have realized, how they going to use it. Anyone wants to explain? No one wants to explain, so the monks are like, the laymen are like the monks, very shy to talk about their experiences. So I will tell you a few things. Which may be of use for the further practice. In order to succeed in meditation, one needs two things. And as you know, the Buddhism is the law of cause and effect. If you succeed in meditation now, especially I talk for those who already are on the way to success. If you succeed in the meditation now, it is always the law of cause and effect of the previous causes. Please be aware of it. Nothing happens without a cause and conditions. In meditation also, if you understand meditation well, it is because certain causes and conditions which you have to be aware of. We have explained that Buddhism especially emphasizes that blind faith is completely useless. What one should have is confidence. This we have already said, this confidence is called in Pali Okapana. Okapana comes from the Sanskrit prefix ava, becomes o in Pali, and kapana, kalpana, from the root klp, which means arrange. One has to arrange oneself down with the object of one's meditation, of one's contemplation. Then, only then, one will do meditation in the Buddhist sense, not just blind faith. You should be very aware of it. Otherwise, religion becomes prejudice. And this is not what should happen. This is not what was taught by the founders of all great religions. Then superstition and prejudice should definitely not be part of training. This is especially emphasized in Buddhism. And we know very well from our history, and especially in our modern times, how much the blind faith and prejudices have caused suffering to mankind and are still causing. That means that if you practice the Buddhist yoga, which is Samatha and Vipassana, you should understand what you're doing. Only then you will be able to do well. According to the Buddhist teachings, you will find like in Charita Pitaka, explaining the path of Bodhisattva according to the Southern tradition. In order to succeed in meditation, especially in the practice of the Bodhisattva, you need 2 qualifications. Now, if you have succeeded to some extent, it means that you have, in the past, you have developed some of these 2 qualifications. The first qualification is called Charita Bija. You have to have in your mind, the Bija means seed, and the Charita means conduct. You need to have seeds of correct conduct in the past. If you have not practiced correct conduct in the past, you're not able to succeed in meditation. And the second aspect is wisdom. You need the seeds of wisdom in your mind. so that you can understand clearly what you're doing. So let us talk about the Charita Bijas, about the seeds of correct conduct. These ideas you will find also in some suttas, like the middle collection of the Buddha discourses. You have Maha Asapura Sutta, which explains these seeds of correct conduct. And you will find them in many other suttas, but not explained so systematically. So, in the Charita Pitaka, these seeds of correct conduct are mentioned as being 15. So let us try to understand them. If you have been doing well in meditation, some of these seeds are familiar for you, and they are your habits. The seeds in our mind of previous conduct is nothing but our habits. And our habits is a very intriguing thing. It is that which actually cheats us. We do not know what really is our habit and what is not. We think that this is our habit, but actually suddenly a habit can change because we do not know what kinds of practices we have done in the past. So you may be facing all kinds of difficulties in the meditation process, and you may think about yourself that you are very stupid and not capable, but suddenly the wheel may turn around and you may become, while you have been progressing very slowly, suddenly you make a very fast progress, much faster than those who have been progressing slowly. So, about these seeds of correct conduct, actually, only the Buddhas, they know very clearly. Even the great disciples of the Buddha do not know thoroughly, only little part. So the first habit that one needs in order to succeed in meditation is called Sila Samvara. Samvara means discipline, and Sila means morality, or certain moral precepts, or moral adhyasaya, the moral determination, tendency. Here you have to understand the samvara does not mean only, sila samvara does not mean that you take the 5 silas, It can be also just natural tendencies. Some people are very moral, but they don't have any precepts. Some people have precepts, but they are not moral. So there is a morality by precepts, and there is a natural morality by the natural inclination, which makes people disciplined. So they cannot. Why we need the moral discipline? In order to restrain the violence in us, anger in us, and the greed in us. These are the roots of distorted thinking. As long as one has distorted thinking, one will not be able to enter deeply into meditation. So these, if one does not have much of these distorted thoughts by violence, anger, and greed, it means he has been certainly practicing some morality in the moral restraint in the past. Either as a Buddhist or simply natural morality, or as finally all religions that are true are based on certain moral values. So the second, after Sila Samvara, the second one is called Indriya Samvara. Ken Lü Yi. Jie Lü Yi, Ken Lü Yi. The restraint of the senses. What does it mean? When you see a beautiful color that you like, you do not hold to its image so as not to let greed arise. When you see an ugly color, you don't hold to that image so that you don't let the anger arise. This is especially true about the mind and mind objects. When the mind has an ugly object it does not like, one does not hold to it. When it has a beautiful object one is attached to, one also does not hold to it. So the mind gets peace. Actually, this training in the restraint of the senses is the most important training. It is explained in the scriptures as actually also the content of liberation, nothing else but liberation itself. There is a sutta, a scripture in the Samyutta Nikaya, Salayatana Samyutta, the Samyutta of the 6 spheres, which is called Samudra Sutta, the Sutra of the ocean. What does the Buddha explain there? The Buddha says, Chakku bhikkhave samudam, the eye, the bhikshus, is the ocean. Yasa vegamayam rupam, in which the colors are the waves. Yo imam vega mayam rupam sahati, whoever can tolerate the waves in the ocean of the eye in the form of the colors, so tarati iti vuchati, he can cross this great ocean of the eye, attain the state of peace, the other side of our existence. Similarly, we have the ocean of the ear, we have the ocean of the nose, we have the ocean of the tongue, we have the ocean of the body, and all these oceans are grounded in one big ocean of the mind, with its mental objects. So whoever can tolerate in this immeasurably great ocean of the mind the waves in the form of mental objects, he can cross this great ocean and attain the peace. So this training in the restraint of the senses is actually the root of all trainings. You should remember that in your meditation. You not allow to grasp at any sign, whether it be pleasant or unpleasant. Only then you can get peace. This is a difficult process. All those who are training in meditation know it well. But by just practicing, you get into it and understand clearly this principle. Then, just as those who are doing well in the meditation can confirm, then one just stays there and watch, and the things happen by themselves. These instincts of grasping at the pleasant or unpleasant signs of the objects is nothing but the defilements in our mind. Only by understanding them one will make progress in meditation. Without understanding them and trying to push them away by force, one will only attain more and more frustrations. So, in order to succeed in meditation, one has to establish oneself in the practice of the Indriya Samvara, the restraint of the senses. There are the verses of the Dhammapada, which all those who study Pali know, that Buddha is praising the samvara of the body, of the speech, of the mind, and of the six faculties. All are sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sabbata samvuto bhikkhu sabba dukkha vimuchati. The one who is the one who is restrained in all, he is freed from all suffering. So you should contemplate in this way, understand your frustrations that you're experiencing in meditation is nothing but the seeds of previous attachments and anger that you carry with yourself. Now you are training by not paying attention to these energies to restrain their karmic power on you. So this is a base of good conduct, of the charita bija, of the seeds of good conduct. So next important seed of the good conduct is bhojane matanyuta, knowing the right measure in one's food. This is also part of the training in restraint of the senses. If you eat too much, you will become sleepy and dull. If you eat too little, you will start thinking about food. The right measure is different from each and every yogi. When you advance in the practice of samadhi, of course you will need less food because you need less energy. But when you're in the process of learning samadhi, like most of us here are, you need a lot of energy to fight the defilements. So it's good to take some nutritious and easily digested food. Once you have succeeded, then you can, you don't need much food. So the right measure is, of course, different in accordance with circumstances. The teaching of the Buddha is a teaching of dependent origination. So here one has to apply wisdom and know the right measure. The same principle that applies to the food applies to sleep. Once you have succeeded in the science of samadhi, you don't need much sleep. The Buddha is advising his disciples to sleep one yama, which means 4 hours. In India, old India, the time was divided just like the year in 6 periods. 3 periods at the daytime, 3 periods at night. So during the middle period of night, the 4 hours the Buddha allowed for the meditators to take rest. If provided they are already good meditators. If not, if you sleep 4 hours, the next day you will be very tired and you will find the meditation very difficult. So again, one has to apply wisdom to the middle way, but by no way take more sleep than one needs. Rather try to reduce a little by applying wisdom. So after these 4, the Buddhism speak of so-called satta sadhamma, sapta sadharma, the 7 good dharmas. They have to be practiced parallel with these 4 restraints. The first one is called saddha. We have already mentioned saddha means okapana, conviction based on understanding of what you're doing. Now, according to Buddhism, from where does this conviction come? Very interesting, you should contemplate and know it. Now if you have conviction in your meditation, determination in your meditation, where does it come from? From the past confrontation with suffering using wisdom. This is the answer of the Buddha. Because in the past you have faced wisdom with certain understanding, so now you are experiencing determination in your practice. If you have not, every one of us is facing certain suffering. Without facing suffering, no one will be genuinely interested in meditation. But facing suffering with wisdom, with understanding, this is a base of okapana, conviction in the sense of arranging oneself with the object. So this is the first of the 7 great friends. You should become very familiar with them and try to live always together with them. Everywhere you go, take some your best company of 7. If you have this company of 7, wherever you go, you will go with ease. The after faith, when one has faith, what one will try to practice? Mindfulness, to protect one's mind. Why mindfulness so important? Without mindfulness, so the Buddha says, no happiness. And so the verses of Dhammapada, Chittam Rakheya Medavi, Chittam Gutam Sukhavaham. The one who is wise protects his mind, because he knows that only the mind which is protected can bring happiness. So you have to bring always your friend mindfulness with you, otherwise you will become depressed. Now, if some of you are depressed, it is because of this previous habit of non-mindfulness, negligence. Why do we practice mindfulness? Because we have conviction that what we're doing is really right and will help us out of suffering. So we practice mindfulness so that our mind stays with the objects that we need and avoid the objects that harm us. All mindfulness practice of mindfulness will lead to the realization, actually, all these defilements that we are experiencing is nothing but the past habits. If you have not had the bad past habits, you would not have defilements now. The defilements do not arise to the present object. They only arise in regard to the past objects, to the past attachments, past angers, past delusions. When one concentrates the mind at what one is doing at present, and the object of concentration is not one leading to defilement, the mind is very peaceful and balanced and without problems. It is when the past connections arise due to lack of mindfulness that the mind becomes troubled mind. So what happens when the mind has mindfulness? Two Lokapala, they are called. Lokapala means the two protectors of the world. According to the teachings of the Buddha, our world depends on our body and mind. To understand the world, you have to understand the body and mind. Otherwise, all you know about the world is just what you impose on your experience, not the content of your experience. So, what are the two protectors of the world? They are called Hiri and Ottappa. The shame of doing evil things and fear of doing evil things. Shame because of respect for oneself, and fear because of respect for others. So, when you have mindfulness, you become aware of what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, what benefits you, what does not benefit you. So you have shame and fear of doing things that are not beneficial and useful to you and others. This is the supreme practice of the Bodhisattva. One can only become a Bodhisattva or an Arahat when one has highly developed these two protectors of the world. But especially for the Bodhisattva, they are the base of all practices. Why? You should know. In the Bodhisattva Vinaya, in the traditional Vinaya, only the bodily acts and vocal acts are transgression. In the Vinaya of the Bodhisattva, even mental acts, which are bad, are transgression. So one should protect one's mind in all actions. When the mind is protected, even doing seemingly bad deeds can bring good results. If you scold someone for the sake of helping him, it is not any wrong speech. So, we have covered 4 noble friends who should always accompany us. Now, the next friend is hearing much. Bahu Shrutata, Bahu Sutata, Tuo Wen. The one who is clear about his meditation, he is the one who has in the past heard many things connected with Dharma, connected with the truth, who has contemplated about them. So this will influence the tendencies of his mind. When you have heard much Dharma, you will think more about Dharma. When you think more about Dharma, then the meditation becomes very easy. Because you will eventually understand very well what you're doing. So hearing, as explained in the Shastras, like Yogacara Bhumi Shastra, is not just hearing. Hearing means with concentration, with enthusiasm, from noble friends who can transfer the teaching, or if you read with certain devotion and interest. There are cases of people studying Buddhism in order to criticize Buddhism. Such study will not help at all. That means hearing the Dhamma means opening oneself to the Dhamma. Then, when one has heard and contemplated the Dhamma a lot, and one has conviction about it, and develop some mindfulness, he will put effort into his practice. Viryam. So when one has put effort into one's practice, if one has mindfulness, what will happen? One will be always vigilant, aware. Awareness is the seventh friend. If one is aware, one will be safe. If one is not aware, one will not be safe. If you are aware of the fact, there is a famous comparison in the scriptures, if you are aware of the fact that the hot iron will burn your hand, you will never burn your hand thoroughly. But if you're not aware that the hot iron will burn you, you grasp it, you will maybe completely destroy your hand. So awareness is the crown of the good conduct. When we do good conduct with awareness, the wisdom will crystallize. Now, these are the 11 seeds of good conduct. And now still remain the 4. Which 4? Who can guess? First dhyana, second dhyana, third dhyana, and fourth dhyana. These are also seeds of good conduct, good mental conduct. One should become very familiar with them and let them reform the conditionings of the mind. When one dwells in these 4 dhyanas, one dwells in the purity of mind. So the purity of mind is the result of the previous factors. And these factors will be crowned then by dwelling in the purity of mind. When one dwells in the purity of mind, one will see things as they really are. That is wisdom.